Alright, in this video I want to show you two different ways to take tomato cuttings and turn them into new tomato plants, and how to turn these old, tired tomato plants and turn them into lush, green, tomato producing machines. Alright, I'm here with my tomatoes, and they have been beaten by the Texas summer heat. We've been getting 100-degree days here for many, many weeks, and it's taken a toll on my tomatoes. So, about a month ago, I planted from seed a new area back here with new tomato trellises, new area for tomatoes to grow. I want to try and produce more tomatoes so I can start canning some tomatoes this fall, or before winter hits anyways. I planted my tomatoes, and I only got about a 40% germination rate. It's been that hot. I've been watering them pretty much every day. So again, 40% germination rate. They're about this big right now to about that tall maybe. And because they didn't all germinate, and for me to reseed them now and wait another month, it's going to take too long, and we won't make it to the end of the year. So what we're going to do here is take some cuttings. It's best to take your cuttings from indeterminate plants rather than determinate. Now your determinate plants, they usually grow to a certain height, usually 3-4 feet tall roughly, and produce their fruit, and they're pretty much done. Whereas your indeterminate are more viney, and they just keep on growing. Also, you can take the cuttings from either the suckers or just at the ends here like this. So either way, suckers or just the ends, make sure it's best to use indeterminate tomato plants. So what I want to do is a little experiment. I'm going to take some cuttings. Let's take this one here. Yeah, this one will work. I'm going to take some cuttings from the top. Okay, these are still doing really good. And what I want to do is cut everything, all the branches off. I got two here. Let's see which one. I'll take that one off. Especially if you got little flowering branches here where the tomatoes would start. Take those off especially. Take everything off. And just leave, well, we'll even take that one off. Just leave a couple on the top. And if there's any, like this one here, I don't know if you can see that, but it's got little flowering branch there. Just clip that sucker off. So what we're going to do, this is maybe too long. What we're going to do is we're going to stick these in water. Okay, one batch I'm going to leave in water and let them root. They should take roughly 2 weeks. And a few of them I'm going to take out and plant directly into the ground. I'm going to put some rooting hormone on there and put them right into the ground, and make sure and keep them watered, make sure that it stays moist all the time. Now the reason why you have to take all the branches off except for the last couple leaves on top is because obviously it doesn't have a root system yet, and if you leave all the branches on there, they require more energy, and it can't give it any energy because it has no root system. So if you leave a few on top, it'll keep the plant happy, it'll keep it alive, you'll still get the nice sunshine, but this way it doesn't require all the energy to go to the branches. So again, one batch we're going to leave in water, and the other batch we're going to put into the ground. We're going to see what happens, because I mean, for me to grow a tomato plant this tall with the branches, of course, it could take a month. Like I said, I only got 40% germination rate, so I got to do some catching up to do here. So hopefully this will work. So let's go put this in water and start planting a few where my other tomatoes didn't grow, and the other ones we'll leave in the water, and we'll see which one does better. Alright, so what we're going to do here, I have some tomatoes growing here, a few over there, but they're kind of like here and there, and I planted 4 here, 4 over here, 4 over here, just in case something like this happened, but it was even worse than I had anticipated. So this area here, I think there's only 1 or 2 over there, and they're very small. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to take our cuttings here. Okay, they've been soaking in water, so the stem is wet. You want to get yourself some rooting hormone, and this here is called Take Root. You can pick this up at any big box store, or if I'll put a link in the description where you can get it too. So what you want to do is basically open this up. Make sure your cutting here is wet, and dip it in there really good. Okay, and we'll just put that aside. Now what we want to do is dig a hole where you want your plant to be. I'm going to put it right here. Just make sure it's nice and fluffed up, the soil. And just take your cutting. Now you want to go pretty deep. Put it down in there. And that's it, guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant about half of these like that in here. Keep them watered so it stays nice and moist. I'm going to put half of this stuff in here, and the other half I'm just going to leave it in the water. And I want to see which one takes root first, because if this method works, and I've seen people do it this way, but if this method works, I'm just going to keep doing it this way. I'm not, rather than soaking them in water, because it could get moldy. You got to change the water frequently. Here, that won't happen, but what could happen is it might not take root, and they could die too. So I'm going to finish up this and the rest of half of these, and we'll wait and we'll see what happens. Alright, so this is day 3, and the ones I put in water look pretty darn good. They look very healthy, for being in water, that is. They're still nice and perky and everything, and they look pretty good. Now, the ones I planted here, I got kind of a 50-50 mix. Some are doing pretty good. They look nice and healthy, and they're nice and sturdy. And other ones are kind of droopy and not doing so well, but they're not dead yet. They can still come back. We will see. This is day 3. I'm going to go a few more days. We'll see what happens. Obviously, if the leaves completely wilt and shrivel up, the plant's dead. But I think the majority of them that I planted are going to do pretty good. A few of them are not going to do so good. Now, the ones in water, we're going to have to change the water quite frequently, because if you don't, it's going to start stinking and it's going to get moldy, and the stems are going to rot. Change the water every other day, at least, even whether it looks like it or not. And don't put super cold water. Just put room temperature water in there. And actually, these look like they've grown a little bit too, the tops, because when I cut them, these are very small. Now they're doing pretty good. They grew actually in those 3 days. Not too bad. All right, so let's wait a few more days and see if the ones in the ground, especially, see if those take. All right, so this is day 6 of my tomato cuttings. Let me show you how the ones in the ground are doing, and then I'm going to show you the ones in the water and how they're doing. So let me show you this first. So as you can see here, my regular tomatoes that I planted by seeds, they're doing okay. Now the ones here I planted 6 days ago, the majority of them are still doing really good. These two here are doing real good. Now you have to remember it's about 100 degrees out here, so it's very, very hot. So along here, these are doing pretty good. I got some that are kind of wilting, but they're still alive, and it has a lot to do with the heat right now. But the majority of them did very well. All right, so out of 28 cuttings that I put in the ground, 2, maybe 3 are not going to make it. They look pretty wilted, and 1 is actually drying up. So 2 or 3 out of 28, that's pretty darn good. Now, let me show you the ones that are in the water. All right, so these here are the ones, the cuttings I put in the water 6 days ago. And they're not doing good. I change the water every other day. I keep them out of direct sunlight. Very important, you don't keep them in direct sunlight. And that's pretty much all I can do. And let me show you what the root system looks like. All right, so let me show you the root systems. And, well, they don't have a root system. They are rotting. They are all mushy, soft, and hollow, like hollow tubes. They're just coming apart. Okay? No root system yet. In fact, they're just rotting, completely coming off. They're just like hollow tubes. That's all it is. So, this is not working out for me. I'm not sure why, but it's just not working out. So for me, it is better just to do the rooting hormone, but that rooting hormone is not absolutely necessary, but it just helps. And to put them directly into the ground and keep the ground moist rather than keeping them submerged in water. Now, like I said, I've seen people put them in water and 2 weeks later, voila, you know, you have roots. But for me, a week later and they're rotten. All right, what we're going to do here is I'm going to take as many ends off as I can. All right, save them, put them in a bucket of water, and plant them as I need them. Okay. The rest of the plant, in order to revive this again, we have to cut the entire plants off completely. Leave 8 to 12 inches from the ground up of just stem. Okay. What's going to happen is, since these have an established root system already, they're going to produce all that. They're going to get all that energy and put it into growing new leaves and new foliage and all that, and produce a whole new plant. This is excellent for people like us here in the south that have basically a spring and fall growing season. Once the summer tomatoes stop producing and it gets overheated and they get stressed out, take the ends off, try and replant those if you can, and the rest of the plant, just take them down and leave the stems about that much from the ground, and you'll have all new plants for your fall. You don't have to plant anything by seed again. So that'll give you a good head start. I should have done this actually a month ago. We're in September now, beginning of September, and I should have done this in August, beginning of August. But we still have roughly 3 months left of good weather for growing tomatoes before December freezes come. So let's get started. did I tell you it was hot out here? So, let me show you what I found the tomatoes doing, and I didn't even have to tell them. Look at this over here. I got tomatoes sprouting out already. All the bottoms on a lot of these are already sprouting. This is awesome. So that is it. The only time I'm going to be planting tomatoes is in the spring. And with those plants in the summer, when those stop producing, I'm just going to cut them down, just like you've seen, 8 to 12 inches, and let them resprout again and grow. This year I did the cuttings because I added a new area for tomatoes. So the cuttings for me anyways works best if I cut them, trim everything off real good, put a little rooting hormone on there and stick them in the ground directly, and just make sure that you keep the ground watered. You saw that the ones in water, it was actually on the 3rd or 4th day they were rotting already, I can tell. And so that's not going to work for me. But directly into the ground, yes. And I was using both either suckers or just the main stem. So again, these are indeterminate. They just keep on growing. They're very viney. The determinate tomatoes are just bushy tomatoes. They only grow a certain height, produce their tomatoes, and that's the end of their life. And I guess that's it, guys. It's really quite simple when you think about it. So that's going to save me a lot of time for the fall planting, but I won't have to plant anything. Everything's going to be established already. So that's great. All right, so thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.